What could this mean? The waves lapped pleasantly on Chichirigahama Beach. The wind still whistled in his ears. A voice mingled with those sounds. "Who are you, mister?" The speaker was a girl in a red leather knapsack. She was looking up at him warily, not anxious, but assured. Sakuta was far less assured, for two good reasons. First, this girl was very familiar. She looked just like the famous child actress, Mai Sakurajima. But even more unsettling, this was the second time this had happened to him. He'd dreamed about it once before, a strange dream that had really stuck with him. And now the same events were happening in reality. And his head was too preoccupied with this strange sense of déjà vu to figure out how to respond to the kid's question. He wound up saying exactly what he'd said in the dream. "I guess I've got one foot in the door." To a girl her age, high school students did look awfully grown up. When he was her age, he'd have called anyone in uniform Mr. too. Just now that he was in high school, he definitely didn't feel grown up at all. Would he ever? "My mom said I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. Sorry." She bobbed her head politely and turned her back on him. "Where's your mom?" He looked around, but the nearest other person was a good 30 yards away, and that was an older dude with a dog, paying them no attention, strolling along the length of the beach. She'd heard him, but wasn't answering, pretending not to hear. "You alone?" Apparently, her mother's rule was ironclad. She'd been looking west at Enoshima, but when she turned east toward Kamakura and Hayama, he caught a glimpse of a frown. He looked left and right himself, wondering again what was going on. The first phrase that came to mind was adolescent syndrome. Most of the world scoffed at the concept, dismissing it as little more than a superstition. Just some nonsense made up online, not something anyone really believed. But Sakuta had good reason to take it seriously. He had first-hand experience with people turning invisible, predicting the future, splitting into two, or swapping bodies with their sisters. He'd lived it. And these experiences included one girl who was sometimes in high school and sometimes in college. Mai was in high school, but it wasn't necessarily surprising that she'd suddenly turned into an elementary school kid. Personally, he preferred the older version and hoped she'd be back to normal soon. There was one thing that bothered him, something his friend Ryo Futaba had said. Returning to the past is really problematic.